We're happy to be joined by Blake Hyland, CEO of Lithium Ionic. Hey Blake, how's it going?
Hey, Dwayne, good. How are you?
Good, good. We're happy to have you join us. So, Lithium Ionic is in one of the world's most prolific lithium regions. Can you tell us more about the advantages of where you operate and what makes this part of the world so unique?
Yeah, I think that what you're talking about is exactly the key takeaway of the project. There's a lot of talk about how lithium is everywhere in the world. You can find it; it's an abundant element. The truth is, there are not a lot of jurisdictions actually like this in the world. Pilgangoora, Greenbushes, those are the analogs for this kind of region. It's a very unique geological setting. It comes from pegmatites. This is the hard rock type of lithium production, which is the ideal sort of greener, faster, higher quality type deposit. But also, I mean, the pegmatites in this region are so unique. They create big, beautiful crystal structures that actually produce almost 90% of the world's semi-precious gemstones as well. And it's because of that well-formed, large, coarse-grained crystal structure that makes it extremely unique. And so we end up with a belt that has an opportunity to be, one of the largest producers of hard rock lithium in the world. We have the key ground in that area, and then you put on top of that the Minas Gerais state in Brazil is really, I mean, it's a tier one jurisdiction, whether Brazil is considered or not. That this area is a mining state. Minas Gerais means general mining in Portuguese. It's an area that's familiar with building projects. There's a clear path for permitting, and that's really the key for us. Is that we think the uniqueness of this is that you've got a scientifically unique jurisdiction placed in a jurisdiction that can actually move forward and get built. And so our focus has been, and a big part of the PA that's come out now is showing how quickly we can actually move into a production scenario and beat our peer group to market by not just a little bit but by years. And so it really is an area that's emerging as one of the most important suppliers of spodumene and lithium for a growing EV market.
You announced an updated resource in PA last week, and the numbers were solid: a 20 plus year mine life, 14-month payback, and 120% IRR post tax. What are the most important takeaways for investors in your view?
I think what you just hit on the head is really important. I think that the fact that this is an extremely economic project, and you can stress test that on different pricing, and as we see the market shift, it still hangs in there as an extremely economic project. But I think an important takeaway as well is this is a flash in time. It's a moment where we're looking at the project and basically just showing the market and showing some of the groups we're talking to how high quality, how economic, the in 120 plus percent rate of return. I mean, these are unbelievable metrics, and we're just getting started. This was us saying, okay, well, here's a portion of what we've done so far. This is what we're going to go ahead and permit and build, but we're going to call that phase one of what we're looking to accomplish, and that this is going to get bigger. It's going to get more robust. We're going to be able to produce more, but we're going to be able to do it in a scaled, sort of responsible way that can actually be built, actually be permitted and brought online. And so, I think this is a way. It's easier for us now to take this document, go to market, go to strategic groups, anybody that wants to talk to us, and say, yeah, this is what it is today, but here's a path as well, as we continue to grow, as opposed to just sort of growing tons in the ground and hoping that's going to grow our market cap. We have a real plan to move to production.
Blake, with a solid PA in your back pocket now, what are you able to do to continue moving the project forward?
Yeah, so I mean, the PEA was, if I'm being totally honest, we actually started with the idea of not doing one at all. I mean, for us internally, we already knew the quality of the project and really some of these economics, what they were going to look like. And I've talked about them generally for quite some time. But it was a kind of, I think, important to bring it to market and prove and put a third party viewpoint on what the project looks like, bring that out and say, look, it's been vetted, a QP signed off on that. This is what the project looks like. But for us, I mean, really, it's been about taking a project from discovery early last year, mid last year, really, when you look at the drilling, um, through initial resource update, PEA. We'll move to feasibility early next year. We're going to actually submit for our construction license next month. And we want to be in a position by summer of next year to actually hold a construction license in our hand. We genuinely believe that this is going to be the fastest moving project into construction globally. And that is, I mean, again, these things are all sort of extremely unique. The pace we're moving at, the quality of the project, the quality of the region, all of it make it extremely unique, a standout project. And that's, I think, what we're trying to convey to the investor base.
So you've mentioned Sigma Lithium in the past. How does your project compare to theirs?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sigma's done a fantastic job of being in a region like this, drilling off some beautiful deposits, just a massive technical wins, and actually staying on time and getting their projects up and running. And early on, before we had a PEA, we used to point to Sigma's economics on Shusha, where they're starting their phase 1 production, and say, look, we can do something similar. And the way they took the approach of here's a phase 1, let's get that permitted, let's get that up and running. Then we'll add our phase 2 and phase 3. We'll continue to de-risk the project. We'll add permits. We'll build it. Whatever that takes to create that value. And they've created $4 to $5 billion in value in that project, starting from 150 million in a very different market. I think what we're doing now, as they're going through a ramp up period, is actually just closing that gap. And we're closing it really, really quickly, to say, okay, well, we are moving towards a project like Shusha. We're coming in right behind, and we're growing our resources in behind that. So we have scale just like they have scale. So, as a company that's, $250 million, the value gap should start to close. And that's the upside, that's the torque in the name. And we kind of use them. It's not the same projects, not the same people, and we're looking to do it differently. But um, that's the idea. So we kind of use a little bit of that blueprint to kind of close the value gap.
So, Blake, in just 2 years, you've taken a project from initial discovery to a potentially producing asset. This seems too good to be true. How are you able to drive this project forward so quickly?
Yeah, look, it's not me. We have an unbelievable team. We have a Brazilian team that knows how to work in Minas Gerais. We know how to move projects forward. Helio Diniz, our technical team, know this region well. Um, and again, a big part of it is also having a jurisdiction, a region that you can drill that comes together this quickly. I think for a lot of the market that likes mining, they're not necessarily used to drilling pegmatites and that how quickly hard rock projects come together. They do much, much faster. A project like this, 30, 40, 50,000 meters of drilling. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a similar commodity with these kind of economics. But if you did, you need 250, 500,000, a million meters of drilling to get to that kind of stage. And it's just it is the difference in the basically the value of the rock that's coming out of the ground, and the margins from cost to produce versus what you're selling for in the market, how cheap they are to build. And again, the footprint on these projects is small as well. So permitting them moves a little bit quicker. You're not disturbing as much ground. You're not creating massive waste piles. It really is sort of an ESG promotable project as well. So you take a jurisdiction that wants to move projects forward. You take a region with world-class assets, and you take a team that knows how to get it there, and you just chip away at it. And I think that our team's done an unbelievable job, and I can't give them enough credit. They're doing amazing.
Lithium prices have sold off dramatically from the highs made last year, with prices in China hitting a 2 year low the other day. Could this price correction be viewed as a positive from your perspective, where the marginal companies fall off the wayside?
So every morning I look at the lithium price to go to the shower. I cry for 20 minutes, then I go out and I try to look at the positives. But I do actually, and it's funny. Even last year, when we were out marketing this project, myself and the CFO of this company and a couple other guys internally, we've always talked a little bit about this. $7,000-8,000 spodumene price was wild. It was almost uninvestable from certain viewpoints. And now that we've actually settled back, I think if we can get into a you know sort of a price range here between, let's say, $2,000 $4,000 spodumene price, and I think we are going to see that be kind of where we live for a while. It's a healthier business overall. The margins are fantastic for us. The margins are better for the mid downstream and ultimately into the EV market, which is driving this kind of trend. So it's probably a healthier market at some of these prices. And Um, right now, I think we've seen prices pull back. Obviously, there's a bit of malaise in the Chinese market. I think we're going to see that recover as well. And the other thing I really like about our project is that, the demand curve is still there for wanting this material. Supply will not catch up with it. And really, I think that's going to come to fruition right around the time we're looking to go into production in 25, 26. And so when people are looking at this project, it should be coming online right into the perfect time for a real lack in supply for the demand. And at the same time, I think we're also going to see that some of these consensus analyst viewpoints of when some of these projects, when these other projects are coming online, 25, 26, were a little bit optimistic. And we're not going to see that. So I think there's going to be a gap that probably drives strong price. And we're going to get, really strong pricing in the first, 4 or 5 years of production, which pays the project off even quicker than we've put in our PEA. And we're going into the perfect market ultimately our timelines. That's my outlook on it. I think that what we're seeing now is the investor space not wanting to catch a falling knife, but ultimately it will settle out. We will see some recovery, and then again we could see prices rise overall.
And Blake, for our audience, why Lithium Iconic and why now? What are the key project or further exploration milestones we should watch for as we move Bandera forward?
Yeah, I think quality, speed, and scale are three things I would point to. This is a jurisdiction unlike many others in the world, probably unbeatable in most respects for quality, grade, coarse grain, low deleterious material. It's the ideal. It's the whatever, it's the Ferrari or whatever you like, the Lamborghini of geological belts. And then you have speed. We can move to production quicker than most of our peer group. Again, working in a jurisdiction that understands mining, has a long history of it, a great, sort of check the box process of getting a permit done, and scalability, right? I think that what we're going to continue to show is, wow, this is a project that has unbelievable economics, but it's just the first phase. It's the first step of getting that project going. So whenever I look at it, it's really about, quality, speed, scale.
Excellent. So we've taken a look at your PEA and we've got a good indication of what the catalysts are to look for in the next few quarters. We definitely appreciate you coming to speak with us today, Blake. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Dwayne. Appreciate the time.